the title of today's program is Empowering Students to Solve Conflicts Peacefully. And conflict resolution is actually not a child's play. So to be familiar with conflict resolution peacefully is a serious affair. So let me actually start with a story. See, on the edge of the Thar desert, a wealthy camel herdsman died, leaving his 17 camels to his 3 sons. See, some of you must have heard the story earlier. See, as per his final wish, the camels had to be divided amongst his 3 sons in specific proportions. And the proportions were like this. The eldest son should get 1/2 of the camels. The second son should get 1/3 of these camels. And the younger son should get 1/9 of the camels. And of course, the camels cannot be sold and the money cannot be divided. The camels themselves, so camels itself has to be divided amongst all the children. So please keep this in mind and try to give me an answer later. I'm not asking for the answer now, but give me an answer later. Would you like me to repeat that? Yeah. So see, there are 17 camels, and according to the father's wish, the camels have to be divided amongst his 3 sons, and the eldest son should get 1/2 of the camels. The second son should get 1/3 of the camels, and the third son should get 1/9 of the camels. And you have to divide the camels. You can't divide the money selling the camels. Okay, so that is the question. I'll come back for the answers from you later. So when we talk about conflicts or resolving conflicts, we first need to understand about conflicts. So let me again ask you a question. Is conflict bad? Is conflict bad?
Yeah.
It is. Okay, according to Maria, it is. Anybody has a different opinion? Is conflict bad?
No, sir. Actually, it leads to a lot of solutions.
Okay, so conflict leads to a lot of solutions. Okay. See, conflict is the normal part of any healthy relationship. See, after all, 2 people can't be expected to agree on everything all the time. So when you have conflict and you want a resolution, which professional comes to your mind first? See, suppose you have a conflict and you want a resolution. Which professional comes to your mind first? Yes.
Lawyer.
Lawyer, okay. Then employees, okay. Maybe police, maybe judge. Okay. So counselor, okay, good. Counselor, okay. So anyhow, most priest, okay, good. So anyhow, what most of the people think that if you are in conflict or in dispute, you need the assistance or support of a professional or a third party to resolve it. See, resolutions can be done or disputes can be resolved in 2 ways. One is by a third party who can impose a decision on you. Say like the courts of law, because in courts, they don't ask for your convenience or your consent. The courts will give you a decision saying that this is the best solution that your dispute can, or that's the best way of resolving your dispute, and this is what the court finds. So that is an imposed decision, which probably the parties may not agree with, but the parties will have to live through it because it has got the legal sanction. So you have to live with it. And there is another type of resolution which are voluntary and consensual. That is, the parties will agree amongst themselves as to what is to be done. But always it is not required, because most of you said that you need the assistance of a professional or a third party to resolve your dispute. But always it is not required, because we need to understand that if we can create conflict, we can resolve it too. Because if we are responsible for creating conflicts, we should also take up the responsibility of resolving it. So if we are empowered to resolve our own disputes, we need no one's help or assistance to do it. So the key is not to fear, or try to avoid conflict, but to learn how to resolve it in a healthy way. That is what exactly we are trying to talk today. So, okay, yeah. So conflicts are an opportunity for growth. When you are able to resolve conflict in a relationship, it actually builds trust amongst the parties in relationship. You can feel secure knowing your relationship can survive challenges and disagreements. But at the same time, if conflict is mismanaged, it can cause great harm to a relationship. But when it is, as I said, when it is handled in a respectful, positive way, conflicts provide an opportunity to strengthen the bond between the parties who are we can say as partners. But ultimately, what happens when there is a conflict? What triggers when there is a conflict? What triggers when there is a conflict? What happens when you are in conflict?
You don't tend to think clearly.
You don't have?
You don't tend to think clearly.
Yeah. So what is that factor that prevents you from thinking clearly?
Probably it could be anger issues, ego issues.
So what are anger? What do you mean by anger and ego? These are all emotions.
Right.
So conflicts trigger strong emotions, and if you are not comfortable with your emotions, or you are not able to manage them in times of stress, then you won't be able to resolve conflict successfully. See, once a man was rowing a boat. It was night and it was dark, and then suddenly another boat came and hit him or hit his boat. This man started shouting at the person who was rowing and rowing the other boat and was very angry. But when the boat got nearer and it was more visible, then he saw that there was no one inside the boat. That was an empty boat. And actually the boat was floating in the water, and it accidentally came and hit his boat. So when this person saw that there was no one in the boat and he was shouting at that vacant boat, he laughed at himself, thinking how foolish he was. So the anger was not actually on the fact that the boat hit his boat, but it was assuming that another person was careless and hit his boat. This is the perception in dispute or conflict. It is not actually finding fault with the situation, but we tend to find fault with the person who according to us was responsible for that situation. And basically, if your perception of conflict comes from painful memories, maybe from early childhood or previous unhealthy relationships, you may expect that all disagreements would end badly. See, you may view that the conflict is demoralizing, it is humiliating, or there is something to fear. See, when you can recognize conflicting needs between the parties, and you are willing to examine with compassion and understanding, it can lead to creative problem solving methods. And when you do that, you are actually building, or you are actually team building and creating stronger relationships. As one of you have said, conflict is not bad, because normally what we find is especially in family mediations. See, many couple would say that we have never fought with each other. See, either it is a blatant lie, or it means that they have never started living together. In the sense, if two prudent person with reasonable intelligence live together, whether it is husband and wife, or whether it's friends, or whether it is colleagues, whether it is peers, see, there is bound to be differences of opinion, and differences of opinion can lead to conflicts. So there is no question that two persons were always together and they never had a conflict. So it is not possible. So conflict is a normal thing, and conflict always is good because it gives an opportunity, because conflicts are always considered as opportunities, not just for lawyers, but for everyone. In the sense, conflicts gives an opportunity to make the existing relationship better, because you can work on it and make it better. Then we need to understand, see, what we express in a conflict is actually a position that we take. It's a position that we take in the sense, see, for example, suppose there's a difference of opinion between me and one of you, and I have borrowed 1,000 rupees, and now I have to pay it back, and I'm not paying it back. So there is a conflict. And what is the position here? The position is you need that 1,000 rupees, and I am not giving that 1,000 rupees. So the 1,000 rupees is the position. But and many people think that if you are able to mediate, or if you can able to reduce that amount to maybe, let us say, some people negotiate and say that let me give you 800 instead of 1,000. I'm able to give you 800, and the other person said no, at least give me 900. See, this is not actually mediation. This is actually called as brokering. In the sense, you are brokering between each other and reducing the amount which is actually due to them. But a perfect conflict resolution is to go behind the position and understand the underlying interest as to why they need it. See, for better understanding, let me tell you another story of some of you must have heard it. There's a conflict of an orange. See, which probably would explain the proposition more clearly. See, one day when the father was busy working on his computer, he saw his young son and daughter fighting and crying. So the father inquired, what happened? And the children said, see, they want an orange, and there is only one orange left in the fridge. So the father naturally, see, I find most of you to be ladies, so very few are men. So the men here would understand. See, these type of conflicts gets you highly irritated, because see, when you are doing some work and some crying and issues are happening in the house, you get irritated and you want to solve that issue as soon as possible. So as in the same manner, what this father also did is he opened the fridge, took out the orange, took a knife and cut it into two and gave both of them the half pieces that he has got. But the children continued crying. See, this action of the father taking the orange, cutting it into two and dividing and giving it to both of them, it resembles almost the same method of dispute resolution that happens in courts. Because actually what he did is the assets of him are equally divided amongst his legal heirs and given to both of them equally. So we can't find fault with the father because he has acted exactly like a court would do, and dividing the assets of his property amongst his legal heirs equally. So there cannot be any complaint against that. But what happened is the children have not stopped crying. So now, if you look at the same situation again, the same scene, but fortunately for the children, the father was not there. Let us say the mother was there. So what happens when a mother sees her children crying? What is the normal reaction? I find many mothers here, so maybe one of you should say that.
Scold them, get angry.
Okay, Anusha, are you married?
Yes, and I have 2 kids.
What age?
The elder one is 12 and the younger one is 8.
Okay, so you must be facing a lot of situations like that.
Yes, and it's a boy and a girl, so it's quite difficult.
Okay, but normally, of course, for the purpose of practical reality, I'll accept your contention. But for an ideal situation, we would say that the mother would always try to comfort the children by hugging them and saying that, don't worry, I am here to take care of your matters. So that probably would, I would like to take that situation here, because here also what the mother did is she hugged the children and said, don't worry, don't stop crying. I am here and I'll take care of your, I can find out a solution for you. Let me try to find out. So when she finds out that the children are crying for the orange and there is only one orange, see, she asked them why they need the orange. So the boy said, I want to drink orange juice. And the girl told her that she wants the peel of the orange to bake a cake. So naturally, with a single orange, both their needs were satisfied, because the fruit had to be given to one and the peel had to be given to the other. So both their needs were satisfied. And even though the father did what is legally possible, but half of the fruit and half of the peel was not sufficient for the children. So this is now with a single orange, both of them got what they want. And this resolution is based on understanding of interest. So this is what happens when you go for negotiation or for mediation. The legality or the entitlement of a party is not considered, but the need and the requirement of the party is considered, and the underlying interests are taken care of. But the important thing is when you're a resolver, when now we are talking about resolving conflicts peacefully. But for doing that, for understanding the underlying interest, you need to control your emotions first. So when you need to control your emotions, because as one of you said, when you are clogged with emotions, when you are clogged with anger, when you're clogged with sadness, you will not be able to think properly. See, have you heard about this amygdala? It's a small bean-shaped thing on behind your brain, which actually controls emotions. Because if the amygdala is not working properly, you will not be able to think properly, or you will not be able to logically perform things. And amygdala can easily be irritated. So when you are angry or when you are sad, it is called an amygdala hijack. When the amygdala gets clogged, and you will not be able to act logically. And you know how much time it takes for an amygdala to get clogged or to get irritated. Any idea? The time for getting the amygdala hijacked is 1/100th of a second. So when you're getting irritated, when somebody scolds you, or when something happens which is not in your liking, your amygdala gets clogged. And the moment the amygdala gets clogged, you will not be able to think rationally. And you know how much time it takes for the amygdala to release from the clog? It takes 1/100th of a second to get it clogged, but how much time it takes for the amygdala to come back to normalcy? I think most of you are learning to become teachers. That's what I think I was told. So that means you need to know, because you will be getting irritated by your students when you're going to become teachers, and you need to understand how much time it takes to unclog your amygdala hijack. It takes 20 minutes. It takes 20 minutes to unlock your amygdala hijack, and only by that time you get you come back to normalcy. So that is why many people say when you are angry or when you're sad, don't take decisions, because your amygdala is hijacked and you will not be able to think rationally. So similarly, when a dispute resolver, suppose you are going to resolve disputes peacefully, see, you also need to control your emotions. So how you speak and how you communicate matters a lot. See, let me ask you one more thing. And this I need answers from some of you, because you seem to be very quiet, and without camera, without communication, it becomes very difficult, because the energy that I get, it should be flowing from you. So let me ask you one thing. Think of an unhappy event that had happened in your life or occurred in your life. It could be years back, and older the better. And it need not be some bad incident like death in the family or accident in the family. It could be something that was told to you, or some comments made about you, or maybe some other incidents that you remember. Some incidents or bad incidents that you still remember. And if you are able to disclose it in public. Can anyone think of such an incident? Somebody is telling you something, or somebody making a bad comment about you, or something that happened when you were very young. Anything which was very old.
May I, sir?
Yeah, Manisha.
Sir, once I had a very huge fight with my best friend. That was a really unhappy moment for me. So after, we can say, 5 years, we got patched up after 5 years.
Okay, so when did this event happen? So after 5 years you patched up. So when was this event?
Sir, in I think so 2016.
2016. Yeah. So when you patched up, so that was, no, that could be both of you had a fight with each other, right? So it would be it would be equally bad to both.
I would like to share one, sir.
Yes, Preeti.
I was in class 10, and before that, I was in Chandigarh. And unfortunately, after the death of my father, we were shifted to Samana, that's a small town. And one of my teachers in the class, she passed a comment at me. I was very fun-loving girl, very careless, you can say, just moving around, very in an easy way and all that. And I was good at studies. There was no problem in that. She was a Hindi teacher. And in Hindi, she passed a very nasty comment at me. Lakshan dekhe hai tumne apne?
Okay, so how many?
Right now, I am 44 years of age. And I am not able to forget that comment till date.
Okay, so it happened almost about 25 years back.
Yes, and till date, it's the worst memory I can say of my schooling. It's there on me, which I'm not able to forget. Though I'm a very healthy-minded person, I don't have any grudges against her. But it is just printed on my mind. It doesn't vanish. It doesn't go.
Okay, so now if I ask you, suppose I go and ask that teacher who has told you that comment 25 years back.
Yeah.
Chandigarh. So do you think she will remember this?
She would not.
She would not. Yeah. So,
I feel so. Because today, me being a teacher in her place, even we say something to the children according to their abilities. We also say that sometimes maybe to motivate them. We say something which they do not like to hear.
Yeah.
But we do say them.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Preeti, for that. Example, because see, that is what I wanted to convey. Because see, a comment that was made by a teacher 25 years back, which according to you hurt you, you still remember that. But when I asked you whether she will remember it now, if I go and ask her this, she will not. So that means a hurt feeling that we got, we will remember it for a very long time. And the person who has hurt us may not remember it. In the sense, this happens in all conflicts. Because even when you are in conflict, make sure that you speak nicely and not to hurt others. Because in the spur of the moment, or in the spur of emotions, you may speak some words which you may forget later. But the person who has listened to it and the person who has got that hurt feeling may not forget that very easily. So when you are a conflict resolver, or when you deal with your with your daily life, because see, conflict resolution is not just for third parties, it's also for you, for all of us personally. Because when we deal with friends, when we deal with conflicts, or when you are empowered to resolve conflicts, we should make sure that we need to control our emotions very fast. And we need to make sure that in whatever circumstances, even if you are telling the other side about certain things very specifically, try not to use bad words which could hurt them, because that they would remember for a very long time, as Preeti said. And the person who tells it may not remember after some time. So make sure that you don't do that. And when you are in control of emotions, you can communicate your needs without threatening, without intimidating, and without punishing others. Because you need to manage stress quickly while remaining alert and calm. This is very important, because you are controlling your amygdala, and at the same time you are making sure, because see, no emotions, no conflicts will last forever. It has to stop at some point of time. But when it stops, there should not be any ill feelings later. Yeah. See, in fact, there's a psychologist called Connie Lilles.
Hello, sir. 1 minute. Hello.
Yeah, everything.
Sir, you are telling no, we have to control our emotions and all. But I'm also trying to control my emotions and doing pranayama. I'm controlling. But in another way, it is affecting our health also. No, sir, we are controlling. That time we are getting.
I'm coming to that. Controlling, it doesn't mean you are burying it.
Sir, we are swallowing that anger, no?
No, you shouldn't. I'm coming to that, Revati, because you shouldn't swallow your emotions. Because that is why at the very beginning I said, see, you should not avoid conflicts, or you should not hide conflicts. You should be able to resolve it in a peaceful manner. You should come over it. But while doing it, you are not forgetting something, you are not subduing something, you are not swallowing something. You're coming out of it in a peaceful manner.
At
So-
least, sir, if we are doing some mistake and they found and they are the conflicts are happening, so okay. But without doing anything, sometimes we are getting that type of negative attitude from others. No, sir. That time we are not able to open. We are swallowing only, no.
Yeah. See, let me tell you one thing. See, what I used to practice is, see, suppose somebody fights with me or somebody says bad things about me. See, suppose let us say, Revati, suppose somebody calls you a fool. Let us say one person is coming and calling you a fool. You are a fool and you are not good for anything.
Yeah.
See, it definitely will irritate you.
Yes.
But suppose you imagine a kid of 2 years or 3 years, of course, a person who can speak, maybe let us say 5 years.
Yeah.
A kid of 5 years comes to you and tells you, see, Revati Aunty, you are a fool.
Okay.
Will you take it seriously?
No, sir. No.
No, because you think you are much grown, you are much senior to them, and you are much mature than the other party, and you can just ignore it because so the other party is a kid, is an immature person.
Yeah, sir. This will happen after 2 or 3 years, no, sir. But at that moment, we are swallowing and controlling our emotions.
No,
Means
controlling the emotions. I'll come to that. I'll come how emotions needs to be handled. I'll come to that. But what I'm saying is, if suppose, as you said, somebody who's so erratic, and suppose without any logic, somebody makes a comment on you, you just think that person is a kid and he's an immature person. You just look at him and smile at him. That will be enough. That will give him the appropriate reply which he deserves. Because if that person was a kid, you would have forgiven him. Just because he's a grown-up kid, you are not able to forgive him.
okay.
So just consider that other person who has made a nasty comment on you as a kid. Then nothing happens.
Okay.
Okay, so now coming into the what do you call the psychologist, which I've said, Connie Lillas. See, she used to drive an analogy. In fact, it's a driving analogy which are the 3 most common ways the people respond to any situation of stress. See, one is foot on the accelerator. So that means an angry or agitated stress response. You are heated up or you're keyed up or overly emotional. So that means you're putting your foot on your accelerator and aggravating the situation by giving a very heated reply. And the next is the foot on the brake. That is actually like a withdrawn or depressed stress response. You shut down or you space out or you show very little energy or emotion. So you are actually blocking your emotion and you are putting your foot on the brake. And the third one is foot on both accelerator and brake. That means you are frozen and you are not able to speak. But under the surface or beneath your mind, you are extremely agitated. So you feel like to agitate, but you are keeping yourself calm. So that is something like a pedal on or a foot on both the accelerator and the brake. See, this situation also, all the 3 situations causes problems, because if you are agitating strongly back to them or like putting the foot on the accelerator, that also causes problem, because you are rubbing shoulders with them and you are you see, your amygdala is also hijacked, the other person's amygdala is also hijacked, and both of you are in irrational state of affairs, and you do it. See, in fact, see our what do you call, the chairman of our advisory board, he was the former Chief Justice. You must have heard his name, Justice M.N. Venkatachalaya. See, he was a former Chief Justice. He's renowned as one of the most eminent Chief Justices India ever had. See, he told me once, because he was a very composed person. He never used to get angry while he was in court. And he was considered, even now, the senior lawyers like Fali Nariman and others remember him as one of the saintly judges in the Supreme Court. So he told me only once in his lifetime, he got angry with the lawyer. And when the case was going on, he fought with the lawyer and he said, see, this is not the way you can argue in this court. And he got agitated. But the next moment he said, I'm adjourning your case to tomorrow. Then the lawyer said, no, I want a decision today. Then Justice Venkatachalaya said, it is for your benefit that I am telling you I'm adjourning it for tomorrow. because he said, if I'm going to take a decision now, it will be against you because I'm agitated. And after 20 minutes or 30 minutes, my amygdala hijack will come down and I'll come to normalcy. And maybe if you're so urgent, if you want a very urgent order, I will take it after lunch so that it will be after 2-3 hours. See, this was something, of course, present day judges doesn't do it. And one of the fear factors of every lawyer is not to agitate or not to get the the judge agitated, because when his amygdala is hijacked, we don't know what order is going to come. So, see, emotion actually said, emotion, you can define it like this. Emotion is energy in motion. So it is an energy that comes into you and it has to move. See, as Revati said, you can't swallow it or you can't hide it. Let me give you another analogy. See, imagine a guest coming to your house. See, you attend your guest, you spend time with your guest, and you entertain your guests, you talk to them, you be friendly with them, or you exchange or you communicate with them. And now it is the time for the guest to leave or to go. And this is the time for you to say goodbye to the guest. But what happens if you close all the doors and not allow the guest to go? Will there be peace in your house? See, the guest also will get agitated. You also will get agitated. Your family members will get agitated because you are not allowing the guest to go. See, same way, emotions are also supposed to come, and it is okay to attend them, to feel them for some time, to feel bad or to feel angry, to feel hurt, to feel fearful, but for some time. And then you need to let it go. In the same way, like a guest coming to your house. See, these emotions also coming to your heart or your mind, and you need to let them go. But what we do is we hold it deep into our heart and will not let it go, and keep the grudges against the people or keep the anger inside, closing all doors and keeping it trapped inside our mind. And we keep thinking this day in and day out, and the emotions get trapped and we are holding on to it. So this is the same way. It is very easy to identify, because you can, whenever there is an emotion, you need to say that it is like a guest coming to our house and we need to engage with them. Because see, if you don't engage with them, that is also not bad. That is also bad. You need to engage with them. So the emotions, you have to handle it, but not for the entire time. You need to engage with them. You need to understand that, and you need to control it as soon as possible and let them go. Because as I said, emotions are energy in motion. So it has to go, it has to come, and it has to leave. So your role as a problem solver should actually be like invisible, because what you do with the problem, you're not engaging with the problem, you're resolving it, but you are not ever identifying with it. You're not getting involved with it. So now coming back to the camel story, of course, one answer came in the chat box. So are you able to divide the 17 camels in the proportions that I gave you? Because the elder son wanted half. You can't divide 17 camels into half, because it will be how much? It will be 8.5. So you can't divide that. You can't divide 17 camels by 3. It is not possible. And even you can't divide 17 camels by 9. It's all divisible or not even numbers, or it cannot be numbers. So the same problem happened with the children of this camel herdsman also. So what they did is they went to the village elder, to the wise man of the village, and they told him, see, we have a problem. We can't resolve it by ourselves. We need your help. So the wise man said, see, I'm a little busy today, but what I can do is I can give you one of my camels. You take one of my camels. So he gave his camel to them. So now how many camels do they have? They have 18 camels. So now 18 by 2 is how much? Yeah, Maria. Yeah, 18 by 2 is 9. And 18 by 3 is how much?
6.
18 by 3 is 6. And 18 by 9 is how much?
2.
2. So 9 plus 6 plus 2 is how much?
18.
No. 9 plus 6 is 15. 15 plus 2 is 17.
17.
17. So now Yeah, 17. So they have divided the 17 camels now, and they have returned back the 18th camel to the village wiseman. So now the 17th camel is divided, and the 18th camel has no role to play, because the 18th camel just came in and made the division easier, or made the division possible. Because now the elder son has got 9, the middle son has got 6, and the younger son has got 2, and the total number of camels is still 17, and they had only 17 camels with them. So they returned the 18th camel back to the village wiseman. See, this 18th camel is the role of the problem solver. He comes in, resolves it, and goes out without affecting the parties, because his role is only to facilitate the process of resolution, to take away the emotions from them, to navigate them into a proper channel, and to resolve the issue. So a problem solver is actually a leader. He would see, definitely, if you want a good friend, you would always want a friend who can solve your problems. You don't want to have a friend. I don't think any one of you would like to have a friend who will create problems, but you would always like to have a friend who can resolve your problems and easily. So empowering yourself with the qualities to become a problem solver peacefully is a great skill that you can possess. It not only helps to resolve problems for others, but it also helps you to live a successful and contented life. So I'm happy that Rajagiri is proposing to implement the steps to empower students to resolve conflicts peacefully in the campuses and in their lives. Because by doing it, they're not only doing a service to the students, but it has got a larger ramification. Because see, if you could resolve problems, see, I don't know how many of you have faced personally cases in courts. Have any one of you faced cases in courts in your lifetime? Any one of you? Whether pending or whether over? Fortunately, I think no one. Okay. See, a case in a court is like an uninvited guest who will stay in your house for years together. By doing it, because do you know how much time does it take for a civil matter, I'm not talking about criminal cases, I'm talking about pure civil matters where there are conflicts. Do you know how much time does it take to resolve a case in a court? The average time?
Minimum 5 years, sir.
Minimum 5 years. Okay. Any other opinions? 5 to 6 years. How much?
Depends upon case.
No, civil case. Let us say a civil case. Let us say a property dispute.
6 months to 1 year.
You never had a case in your life, I'm sure about it. Okay, 30 years. Srikumar, I think Srikumar, either he may not have a case, but somebody in his family, either his parents or his uncles or aunts had a case. It's almost very, 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 what do you call, close to reality. A civil case could take 20 to 30 years, but an average case takes about 15 years to get over. 15 years is the estimate given by the Supreme Court Case Management Committee, that it will take 15 years. And do you know how much time do you know the pendency of cases in Indian courts? How many lakhs or how many millions? Any idea? Because that will prompt you to resolve your conflicts personally faster. Do you know how much cases? Several crores. That is a vague statement, Prashant. Be specific. It is 40 million or 4 crores. 4 lakh, it's not 4 lakhs, it is 40 million or 4 crores. And do you know how much time does it take? Suppose, let us say, all of us have agreed that from tomorrow onwards, no new case is going to be filed. And all the pending cases has to be. So do you know how much time does it take to clear off the entire cases from Indian courts? 100 years. Okay, lifetime, good. Lifetime means whose lifetime? So anything better or worse than 100 years? Do you think 100 years is too much? See, as per as I said, the Supreme Court Court Management Committee and the Law Ministry have given an estimate that if no new cases are going to be filed, the time that will be taken for wiping off the entire pending cases in Indian courts will be 327 years. So it will take 327 years to clear the pending cases. So that means in our generation or the next generation, we will not see it. And why do you think, is it the problem of courts and the lawyers that this tendency happens? Can you find fault with the lawyers and the courts to make this problem? I will say no. It is all of us, all the litigants. See, for example, now whenever you go out, let us say when you go out in the evening in Cochin, see, you are stuck up in traffic. You don't see, you may say that the traffic is too heavy and all those things. But when one of your relatives is critically ill and you are taking them to the hospital by an ambulance, then you find that why all these people are in the street in their cars. See, why don't the streets be empty? See, similarly, we don't care about the pendency of court matters. We clog the courts with all our petty issues. Whenever we have a small issue, we go to the court and clog it. And whenever we have a serious issue, we find that the courts are slow. The lawyers are troublesome. They are creating all the problems. See, why justice is not delivered fast? See, the only reason is we are not able to resolve our small disputes internally by either by negotiation or by conversation or by involving a third party mediator. We could resolve it without taking the assistance of courts and lawyers. If we have done it properly, then the courts will not be in a situation like now. See, we could have easily brought out, see, even if you take the present cases, if you take an earnest efforts to resolve your disputes which are pending in courts, which could be resolved by bilateral conversation, at least 70% of the cases would be resolved. So it is required that we need to teach every student, every young person to take control of their disputes and resolve it peacefully. And I'm sure that Rajagiri would take that step in a very fruitful manner, and hope that the future would not be that horrible where disputes cannot be resolved in a timely manner. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Anil, for this introduction to this vital area of conflict resolution to be introduced from the very initial stages of life itself, I would say. This had been a great dream for me personally also, because I'd been observing an education scenario way back from 2001 when the so-called 9/11 occurred, and I felt that this should be a vital part of education, but I had not been successful in introducing any of these. My question is whether you have some suggestions as to what could be some precise steps for introducing conflict resolution as part of the training in schools, or some tips as to how the children could inculcate these habits. So do you have anything ready-made for that? Other than informing them about, as you have right now told us, other than that, any specific tips or steps regarding introducing the value of conflict resolution and skill of conflict resolution among the children?
No, there are, of course, see, professional dispute resolution is a different ballgame. And for students and for colleges and for schools, there are certain basic steps and basic tips of resolving disputes and making the culture of dispute resolution more practical. Because see, it started, one peer mediation program which originated in Netherlands. Actually, they had, that was copied in many other countries. It was copied in Hong Kong. It was copied in Indonesia. In many countries, this peer mediation clubs in schools were made, where they introduced something called the ABC system, where every student who has a conflict had to follow a certain procedure. So when there is a fight between students in the school or in colleges, see, then there's a pattern procedure which they have to follow, which either it could be a conflict club, or there will be conflict leaders in every class who will ask them to do something. First is you have to stop quarreling and listen to the other side. Each party will have to listen to the other side. That's the first step. And during the listening process, you can't utter a word. See, these are certain basic things that it is implanted into the peer mediation program, because see, we can't expect students to be as composed and as mature as a professional negotiator or mediator. So there are certain formulas that are made which can help them to understand the process and to understand what could be done in a conflict situation. And moreover, there are group leaders. There are conflict clubs made in schools and colleges where the group leaders take care of those conflicts, because when the students are not able to negotiate between themselves and they need the help of a third party, then the conflict clubs will allocate one leader who will talk to both parties and resolve it amicably. So this steps actually helped in a larger perspective, because of course in a situation like India, or especially in Kerala, see, there will not be much of a cultural difference in schools, but in many other countries where there are cultural variations, because resolving conflicts based on or understanding the culture is also very important. Of course, in the present day scenario, when things are going a little out of hand, these cultural issues are also to be considered when we do dispute resolutions in India as well. So considering the faith, considering the religion, considering the background on which a person comes, so we need to make sure that nothing is precipitated in a larger way. So even a small issue can precipitate into a larger issue, because you said when differences, if differences are not handled properly, then it escalates into a conflict. And if conflicts are not handled properly, it escalates into a dispute. And if your disputes are not handled properly, it escalates to a war. So the best way in which you can handle a dispute is when there's a difference itself, and the difference will not be normally handled, because you don't know where to go and handle that dispute. Because see, you don't go when there is a difference of opinion to a lawyer or to a counselor or to a court. You will wait till it escalates. So when it escalates, because it is normally said, when the disputes becomes uncontrollable and the people start taking positions. See, for example, when there's a family dispute between husband and wife, see, the moment you go to a lawyer, the dispute is not de-escalated, it is escalated. Because when you issue a notice to the other side, the lawyer cannot issue a notice to the other side based only on facts. He has to bring in law. So when he brings in law, then naturally the grounds for divorce or the grounds for making it very clear has to be narrated. So he'll have to bring in some grounds which would say that, see, the other side was into adultery, or the other side, some allegation which are weird and which may not be true, which will be alleged against the other party to make your case strong. And the moment the other side receives that notice, actually it escalates the dispute to a next level. See, maybe other people get involved, the parents get involved. They say, see, how dare he send such a notice to us? So the what you call the adding fuel into the fire happens when wrong type of communication happens. So the time when there is a difference, at that time a proper intervention has to happen, and that proper intervention has to be scientifically made. Because see, the problem with most of the mediators are they try to advise a party. See, especially in the present generation, nobody likes advice, because all of us think that, see, we know how to handle our lives and we don't need advice from anybody. So if anybody tries to advise and to preach them that this is how you should live and this is how you should behave, nobody takes it seriously. Because see, what they need is, they need a facilitator who would help them to communicate with each other and come with their own resolutions. You don't want anybody to advise them to do what they should do and anybody to tell them that this is how you should behave. They should find out on their own how they should behave. You should only control the emotions and to track them to communication, which could bring out the solutions by themselves. So the best See, when I have a dispute and I come out with a resolution myself, there is no way that I will not abide by that resolution. But anybody else, suppose anybody else, let it my father, let it my mother, let it my aunt, or let it be the priest of the church or somebody, anybody who gives an advice and tell you that this is how you should behave. Maybe for the time being, to avoid the dispute, I will agree to that. But after 2 days or 3 days, I will not agree to that, because I think that this is not the way in which it should be controlled. So this is the basic education that we need to give to children, that you need to take control of yourself, and you don't have to look upon others to come out with a solution. You need to find a solution by yourself. And if you are not able to find a solution, you should know how to live with the problem, live with the conflict, not aggravating it to a next level. So the tips that could be given to the students are, we have ready-made packages where these type of how things are handled. When there are certain packages like, see, now of course we are coming out with a new trend. We are launching it. In fact, the Chief Justice of India is going to launch it in July. We are going to make dispute resolution mechanisms engross with colleges. The college students will help resolve disputes of even public. In the sense, they will act as mediators, they will act as arbitrators. So whenever there is a dispute, you don't have to rush to court. You can go to a nearby college, and the college students will help you to come out with resolutions. So it is not only building leadership amongst the students, but also giving an opportunity for people who are having disputes in the society to resolve it in an amicable atmosphere. Because going to court itself is not a very, because see, when you have a fight with a person, what is the last word you tell them? See you in court. You don't say see you in coffee shop, because the court atmosphere is not a pleasant atmosphere. Everybody knows it. So you challenge a person that I will see you in court. It is a challenge. It is not a what you call a statement to show that I will like to resolve your dispute. No. So we tend to change that focus from a tense atmosphere to an atmosphere which is more calm. So a college atmosphere, definitely seeing youngsters, seeing students, seeing people laughing around and playing around, the disputants themselves will feel more comfortable to coming to a college and resolving the dispute. So if you're training the students to handle that thing, how to navigate communication so that the persons themselves can come out with a resolution. So that will be the best way in which disputes can be resolved. So what we are trying to do is, we are taking away the burden from courts and shifting it to public, in the sense, small disputes and personal disputes, interpersonal disputes should not be taken to court. See, suppose I have a dispute with, let us say, Sri Kumar. See, it is none of other people's concern. Why should the police, why should the public, why should the courts involve in a dispute which is not affecting the public at large? It is a bilateral issue between me and Sri Kumar, and we should be able to handle it. And see, if such disputes, bilateral disputes, can be handled outside the system, then the clogging in the system will be removed, and the system will be available for serious matters. See, now we are having a complaint that suppose it's a murder case, suppose it's a serious issue. We say that the courts doesn't have the time, because every day courts are handling about 100, 150 cases. And out of these 150 cases, 120 cases may be like bilateral issues like this. And they're giving that much time, the same time, to resolve that dispute to a serious dispute. So suppose you can take away the 120 disputes, then the court is left with only 20 serious matters which they can allocate time. So take away those disputes to other places where you encourage students, because these students are a large community who have to be trained in this. So make them professionals right from the days of their student time. So see, and moreover, if it's a commercial dispute, we can even give them a fee for that. So while learning, while in education, they can even start earning by resolving small disputes which are commercially relevant, where the parties are willing to pay them.
Just Anil, you had mentioned about ABC. I would like to know to get the expansion. Is it just ABC, or
no? It is attending to the other side, blocking the emotions, and caring for the. I can send you. Maybe I can give it to the Rajagiri
Yes.
center for that. Yeah, I can send you that.
I would just add one observation. Generally, in this context, the people concerned are not really bothered about resolution. They want vendetta. They want revenge to be taken. That is the issue. So maybe they think that that will give them resolution, but then that doesn't
No,
really
see,
happen.
of course, see,
that requires education.
No, see, it is true to some extent. It's true because see, in fact, even in negotiation, when the principles of negotiation was made for the first time by the Harvard Law School, see, there was a term that was coined which is said win-win situation. That is a win for both sides, win-win situation. But see, that was made about 25 years back, and that win-win situation was also not satisfying for the parties, because even if you win, I want something extra. Because always there is a tendency of getting something more than the other side. That is a human tendency. So now it has been changed to good for you, better for me. So instead of win-win, but whatever you get to in a negotiation, it will be good for you. It will be much better than what you get from a court or what you get from a regular litigation. But there will be something extra for me. That is the way in which the present day professional negotiators do. So that is also another way of doing it. But definitely, see, the question of vendetta, see, naturally, see, I can give you one application. You can download it in your mobile. That is called the Peacegate in, peacegate.in. Maria, can you write it in the chat box? It is Peacegate, PEACEGATE.in. So this application, it's a web-based application. You can use it in the website, or you can download it in your Android phone or in your Apple phone, and this helps you to handle all your disputes in your own hand, in your own phone. You can initiate your negotiation. You can refer it to mediation. You can refer it to arbitration. It is continuous, Maria. It is not two words. It is Peacegate is a single word. Yes, that's correct. So in that, see, there is also, when you are talking about vendetta, see, there is a virtual guide in that Peacegate application, which is called PG. So you can consult with PG when you have a dispute as what you should do. So PG will be asking you a lot of questions and will be coming out with the advice. So you just check PG and you find out how long or to what extent vendetta helps you. See, that is an immediate feeling of when there's a hurt happen. See, that is why even in criminal cases, see, now there is a major discussion happening about restorative justice. So that is, suppose somebody hits you. See, suppose, let us say Maria hits Srikumar. So, see, Srikumar can only make a complaint to the police, and the police will punish Maria either by way of a fine or by putting her in prison. But what is the benefit of Srikumar? He has already got the hitting. So there is no restoration that is done in that. So many people who have done an interview with the persons who were hurt in such matters, see, they were more happy to get an apology rather than putting the other person into a prison. So the way in which our punishment system happens, it is not satisfying to the person who has got the hurt, because he is not benefited from the trial. The other person who has committed the crime, he is put to punishment, but the person who has suffered the hurt, he is not getting any benefit out of that system. So restorative justice, where you are compensated for what has happened to you, is a system that is developing, or that discussion is coming out very fast. And even a former Chief Justice of Kerala High Court, Justice Malimath, he has conducted a study, and there's a report, Justice Malimath Committee report has also come up, which says the criminal justice system needs revamping, because it does not consider the feeling of the hurt person, but it only punishes the guilty. And that is not a good way of doing things. So vendetta may not actually be the all-time reason. But of course, for certain people, I think one of the questions that came in the chat box is, if one person is so adamant or so vindictive, how can you handle him in a mediation or in a negotiation? So that also a good negotiator who can channelize him to come out with his emotions and to identify whether it is good for him to get a revenge or good for him to resolve it amicably. What would be the, see, a revenge is not actually a revenge against the other person. It actually affects the health of the person who is in revenge. So ultimately, you are also falling into, see, if you look at any of those, what you call health issues, like stress issues, like heart attacks, like ulcers, many of these health issues, the origin of it is a hurt feeling. It is an unsolved hurt feeling inside you, which you can't come out of. So that hurt feeling ultimately ends up in a disease. So even when I said this emotions are energy in motion, see, when you hold it, see, for example, I think most of you must have seen it in, because it was a very viral WhatsApp video. See, a person was asked to hold a small thing in a hand for 10 minutes. He was able to hold it. But when the same thing, he was asked to hold it for 2 hours, he was not able to bear the weight. Because it is not because the weight has increased, because the time factor has made him to become tired. So even a small issue that is in your mind, if you hold it for maybe 1 day, it is okay. But if you are holding it for maybe for 100 days, it's going to affect your health very badly. So in fact, when you're talking about school students, one such experiment was done in a school in Minnesota in US, where the teacher asked the students, they were young children, they were asked to see, they were bringing in fruits to eat, like bananas or apples, whatever they used to bring to school. So the teacher told them, you should not throw away the waste. You should carry the waste in your bag, in a separate bag, and you should carry it with you for all days to come, till I tell you to throw it away. So the first day, all the rotten, what you call the banana peels and all the other things, the balance of the fruits, everything was kept in a bag, and they were carrying it. And after 2 days, 3 days, 4 days, after 1 week, they were not able to carry it because the rotten smell started coming up. After 2 weeks, none were able to sit in the class because the smell was so bad. So then the teacher said, if you're not able to carry the rotten things in your bag, how can you carry rotten things in your mind? So if you carry those rotten things for a long period, it starts smelling. In the sense, it starts hurting you. So vendetta is always not a good solution. That of course a good mediator or a negotiator will guide them or facilitate them to a better resolution. Yes.
Thank you, sir. Any more questions?
Excuse me, sir.
Madam, 1 minute. Sir, if you told us student community is large. Suppose in our college, we want to create one team leader to solve the problems among the students. Is there any training required for them?
You get in touch with Rajagiri, because Rajagiri is getting in touch with us for this.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am. Please.
Excuse me, sir.
Yeah, please go ahead. Anjana.
Hello. Okay. As this session is all
please go ahead
about
with your
the
question.
conflict resolution between students, I'm still a student, so I just wanted to ask one small doubt. Till now, like sir explained all about the conflict resolution, what measures we can take, what we can do to resolve the conflicts and all. But even after resolving the conflicts, like with our friends or maybe our classmates, whoever, we will be having this emotional distance, or we won't be having the same trust or the bonding we had before. So how can we rebuild or rebuild our trust and restore our relations at what stage they were before?
Yeah, that's a wonderful question, Anjana, because see, when we talk about resolutions, see, dispute resolution, see, suppose you have let us say you're having a wound on your hand. See, putting a plaster is only, it's only preventing the bleeding from coming out. But if you can identify the reason of the wound and cure it from inside and heal it from inside, then the wound is cured forever. See, putting a plaster is like finding a solution for the time being. Then the trust is not restored. But an actual resolution is bringing that person back to the earlier position. So the trust is restored, the dispute is resolved, and the friendship. And actually, what happens is the bond will be much better than earlier. So that is an actual resolution. It is not a solution on the top. It is not a treatment on the wound. It is curing the wound from inside. So an actual resolution. So when you talk about resolving conflicts peacefully, it is not finding out a solution for the time being. It is finding out a solution where the people can live with it. So that of course you need training for that. You need more because it is easier said than done, because actually a negotiation or a conflict resolution mechanism is more than a science. It is an art and a science. So there are certain scientific principles behind it, and there is an art of adapting it and putting it into practice. So it is both an art and a science.
Thank you, sir.